Assalamu alaikum. Today we will start chapter 1 Cell, the structural and functional unit of life. And the learning objective of the chapter are here means by the end of the chapter you will be understood with these things. Recognize cell as the basic structural and functional unit of living organism, and then recognize protoplasm. Protoplasm, what is protoplasm? Nucleus plus cytoplasm as the living component of a cell. Differentiate between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. And here you'll be understood how to draw and describe the structural detail of plant and the animal cell. Means you will practice how to draw the plant cell and the animal cell. The various component of generalized cell and state their function. Differentiate between a plant cell and a animal cell. So these are the things inshallah will be understood by the end of the chapter. Now the very first heading of the chapter, what is cell? What is cell? We know from the lower classes that cell is a structural and functional unit of a living being or living organism. Means structural means the structure of the organism is made up of cell. Functional means all the functions occur in the cell only. So cell is the structural and functional unit of all living being, and this we know from the lower classes. And then many cells form collect to form tissue, and the tissue collectively form organ, and then organ collectively form organ system, and then the different organ system together form an organism. As we know that cell is a microscopic unit, means it's tiny structure, it's very small, and you can say it is the smallest part of the body which can be capable to independent which can be means capable to exist independently. So all new cells this is the cell theory, that all the living beings are made up of cell, and cell is the structural and the functional unit, and the cell arises from the pre-existing cell. The new cell arises from the pre-existing cell, and the basic structure of the cell is cell membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus. Means these are the three parts which you will get in every cell. So these are the basic structure of the cell. Now the next heading of the chapter, discovery of the cell. And discovery of the cell is possible only because of the microscope. So the invention of microscope helped a lot in the discovery of the cell. Means as we know the cell is a tiny structure, it's a very small structure, we cannot see with the naked eye. So before microscope, the invention of or the discovery of cell was not possible. It's discovered when after the invention of the microscope. And the first microscope is constructed by Anton von Leeuwenhoek, 1632 to 1723, and it's just made up of only single biconvex lens. And because it's having only single lens, that's why it is known as simple microscope. Some of the Leeuwenhoek's microscope could magnify object up to 200 times. So means Leeuwenhoek constructed the first microscope, and that was a simple microscope, and that could magnify up to 200 times. After this, Robert Hooke also worked on this, and he constructed compound microscope by using two lenses for achieving greater magnification. So after this, they so many scientists they work on it, and the Robert Hooke was successful to give the compound microscope, and he used two lenses for constructing this compound microscope, and this microscope of course given of course having the greater magnification because of the two lenses. After invention of the microscope, Robert Hooke started working on the cell. So the first cell was discovered in 1665 by the Robert Hooke only. He studied a thin slice of cork under the microscope, and he observed that the cork slice had a large number of compartments joined together in a honeycomb-like structure. So the honeycomb-like structure he has seen under the microscope. He named this compartment as cell. Means they are the room like structure or small compartment like structure. So he has given the name to those compartment or the room like structure. He given the name as cell. Cella means compartment. Now these days the microscope which we are using in laboratories, they are actually the improved design of the Hooke's microscope, and it consists of two lenses, the eyepiece lens and the objective lens, and which are combined to produce greater magnification. And the light microscope has a magnification up to 1500 times. So this light microscope capable to give around 1500 times magnified what you can say image. So it's good enough to see the cell. As we know, the cell is a very small structure or the tiny structure, so it can be possibly seen in this light microscope, and the larger organisms and the bacteria can be seen under this microscope. And the most advanced microscope is the electron microscope, and its magnification over 2 lakh times. 2 lakh times. And the resolution of this electron microscope is much greater than the light microscope. So in this microscope they use the electron beam, means the beam of electron is passed through the specimen material, means the material which we want to see. So it passed through the specimen material, and that is what you can say focused by using the electromagnet, means the electromagnets are also there in this, and that they just help to focus the beam on the specimen, and then that image is directly projected on the fluorescent screen for the direct view, or onto a photographic plate also, means we can just what you can say project it on the fluorescent screen so that we can see directly. And if you want print out, then we can what you can say view on the photographic plate for permanent recording. And the resulting photograph, means the photograph which we get after this getting the image on the photographic plate, is known as electron micrograph. Now the next heading is cell theory. So the cell theory was formulated by two German biologists, Matthias Leiden 1838 and Theodor Schwann 1839. And their theories stated cell as the basic structural and basic functional unit of all the living beings or of all the living creatures. So this Schleiden and Schwann, they have given the 2 points of the theory that all the organisms are made up of cell, and the cell is the structural and functional unit of all living organisms. Then in 1855, it is again revived by the Rudolf Virchow. In 1855, it is revived again by another scientist, that is Rudolf Virchow. And Rudolf Virchow added a phrase, omnicellula, e-cellula. And the meaning of this omnicellula, e-cellula means all cells arise from the pre-existing cell. Means the new cells arises from the pre-existing cell, the cell which is already present. So in context of modern researches, the cell theory can be stated as follows: that cell is a structural as well as functional unit of all living beings. Means all the living being or all the living organism, they are made up of cell, and all the functions occur inside the cell only. So that's why it is known as structural and the functional unit of all living beings. And all living organisms are composed of cell, and all new cells arise as a result of division of pre-existing cells. So the new cells arises from the older cell, you can say, the cell which is already present from the pre-existing cell only. All cells are basically alike in chemical composition and metabolic processes. And the function of an organism as a whole is the outcome of the combined activity and interaction of the constituent cell.